Okay, so this is the process that happened. I did a show rewatch in like October, and then season 5 came out, and I'm watching through it, and then Robin says this, okay? She says, "You've got an antenna in your head. Use it. The Enigma machine won the war. Knowledge is power." Now, this is what started me going like apeshit because, yeah, she's right. The Enigma machine did win the war, but it was the bomb decryption device that won the war. And so it's one of those things where, like, did they mean it this way or did they not? But the show is really sneaky and they do use devices like this where there's like double or triple meaning. So, Robin is on my sus list. I don't know if I can trust her. Now, the other mystery that is absolutely killing me, we're going to come back to World War II in a second, are these cast photos. I talked about them in my last video. I saw these like mid season 5, and I don't understand why we haven't gotten a payoff for this. Now, because of my family background, I can get a good story out of what we've been presented, but a normal person who's never heard of cryptologic history is not going to enjoy this. Like they're as we've seen, and just based on this Demogorgon back here with the red and the blue on it in the radomes, like this, I'm convinced that this was a war game that went really wrong, or something else like AI happened. The other theory that I have is that Will and maybe everyone that we've come across is somehow an AI built off of one's like algorithm brain. So like someone distilled Alan Turing's brain, right? And which is probably Dr. Brenner or whoever was in charge. Because who knows if Dr. Brenner is even real? He could have just been based on Matthew Modine's character from Full Metal Jacket. We don't know. Um, so what I think is what I think probably happened is the government built, and I don't know if the US government did this or if the UK government did, and then it got infected by the East Germans. But I think the Alan Turing code got infected with whatever Nazi brains Dr. Brenner was working with, okay, or like East German prisoners or whatever. And it ended up infecting Alan Turing's code. In turn, every time you see a clock, it's it's actually an encrypted memory of that base code. And so the bomb decryption device sounds a lot like that clock, like a clock tick, I should say. And so I just really wonder, like, are we looking at a synth situation, like a Blade Runner situation? I don't know. But the other weird theory that I have is Terry is one, so Elle's mama. And the reason why this makes sense to me, and you guys are gonna be like, Megan, you gotta stop with the Hunt for October, but I can't. I just can't because it's been referenced so many times in this show. So, Hunt for October, if you don't know, was a book first by Tom Clancy, Ted, and it basically depicted submarine warfare in the Cold War. And Hunt for October was based on psychological warfare itself. And I think it was actually based on U-110, which was a U-boat. And that U-boat in particular is the one that the Enigma machine was pulled off of by the UK. And so, with the way that the show's going, I just think that, like, something went wrong. And, like, now we're dealing with time manipulation because Dr. Brenner, or whoever Dr. Brenner is, figured out how to manipulate time, intercept the Enigma machine, and now everything has just gone haywire. Like, look at that. Like, he looks like the guy from. He looks like the Matrix man, you know? So, there's that. But, so we talked about Robin, and then the other thing with Robin and Steve, also, why do they look like this right now? I don't like that. Um, their uniforms, while they are reminiscent of like any U.S. sailor uniform, they also resemble the East German Navy. So I don't know. I just don't know. Oh man, there's so much. There's just so much in this show, and that's why I'm telling you, like, I couldn't. I tried to write this out. I do have essays on this show already, but like, I tried to write a video script for this, and I just kept like going off on tangents. So I'm trying. This is the only way that I can stick to this right now. So I want you to think about the primrose that we saw on that Bletchley Park symbol. And I do also want to say that the mission that got the Enigma machine was called Operation Primrose. So it's one of those things, again, I keep saying it's one of those things, but like everything in here is connected and has a purpose. And it's wild to me that like I'm just realizing this stuff because my brain wasn't ready, I guess, at the time. Now, oh, that's what I wanted to show you. So when Eleven goes to visit her mom, let me see if it's in here. It might be in the other album. Oh. Just in case anyone watching this isn't aware, this painting actually says crazy in the trees. If you can find a copy of it on your phone and look at it that way, it's like right here. And then there's also like all these faces. So what everyone is guessing is that Mike has to he has to like look at the painting and like unlock himself from whatever nightmare he's in. So we'll see if he is able to do that. Okay. I'm trying to see. Oh, here it is. So when Eleven goes to visit her mom, she she talks to her or whatever. Well, there's a scene in Hunt for October where Jonesy is explaining to the captain that he thinks he hears, instead of magma or like plate displacement, he's actually hearing a submarine like going through the water. And it says, "You see, sir, the SAP software was originally written to look for seismic events. When it gets confused, it runs home to mama." And so that is one point in the column for this is an AI, this is a Blade Runner situation. And I think it's possible because there's a lot of like there's a lot of character switching going on, I believe, and I don't know if it's like a Matrix or like a VR like Tron type of situation where you can like trade headsets or whatever, trade skulls. But I don't know, there's something weird going on. And I think Terry, it's possible whatever brain or person that Terry was possibly killed a bunch of people, and that's why like 11 has to go through the rainbow room and see everything on the floor, because 11 is 1 because they're the same base code is essentially what I'm saying, the watered down version of that. Here's Hunt for Red October in the bookstore that we saw in season 3. And I do also want to talk about, first, this is just an aside. This is Jamie, right? Jamie in this outfit looks a lot like James Angleton. James Angleton was the head of the CIA for a long, long, long time. and he was very good at catching Nazi spies, right? Well, when the Cold War started, the game changed, where the Soviets no longer played by the same rules, and they would just blackmail you for being gay. And so this guy, Kim Philby, he was, I don't think he was number one in Britain, but he was really close. He was like number 2 or 3. And these two would share poetry all the time. And Philby ended up going to Russia, and he just never did anything else with his life because the Russians were even suspicious of him. And then with Angleton, he ended up basically getting kicked out of the CIA because he was so wrapped up in whatever mind games he was playing. So, I do want to point out as well, and I'll get into this in another video probably, but Stranger Things as a whole has been one big sleight of hand. Like, one huge psychological operation. And so when I bring up, like, the base code of Alan Turing could be these Blade Runner type people, and when they see the clocks, they're actually trying to remember, like, the decryption device. It's like a memory that they can't get rid of, right? Or that they're trying to remember, but they just can't. And then that's why they hear the clock, because VECNA's coming to get them, because VECNA is a virus, and VECNA is trying to decrypt whatever is happening, right? So it's going to be interesting to see if there is more content related to this, like what happens, because there is a very good story here. And my husband said I should write the end of this, but there's so much evidence that, like, more things are coming that I just can't do that to myself. The last thing that I want to cover is, well, the psychological operation part of it. So this show is psychological ops all over the place. Alexei, I'm pretty sure, isn't dead. I think he psyoped himself. I think he made it look like he died of a bullet wound. If you remember, he asked for more ketchup and a certain color red Slurpee from Hopper. And that's why he was so animate about it. He wanted his blood red Slurpee. So the last thing I want to cover, because it relates to Robin and the tower in season 5, and then I'm gonna do a whole other post on patches, and I think I'm gonna do the patch posts on either the YouTube shorts or TikTok. I haven't decided yet, but we'll see. Let's see. So this is the Voice of America Museum. It used to be a radio station in Ohio, in Cleveland. Cleveland had a huge radar tower. Now, there was also this station, notice the crown up here, called Aspidistra. And Aspidistra was a black propaganda, which means you couldn't determine where the signal was coming from because the signal was so strong. And it would override the German signal in World War II. And basically they produced their own German language radio plays and radio stations. And it's just fascinating that, like, so much of this, if you just read into the concepts of black propaganda, what does that sound like? It sounds like the Mind Flayer, right? So there's a lot of psychological warfare going on, and I don't know. Oh, this is also Voice of America. This would be a type of propaganda. Usually it's gray propaganda, depending on where it's broadcasting and who it's broadcasting to. But this reminded me of the room when Hopper calls his contact for military support, and the guy's got all the clocks on the wall. So I think, oh, and then this, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure this is Voice of America. It might be Aspidistra. I'll have to check. But I wanted you to note. I'm pretty sure this was Voice of America. But I wanted you just to note the shape, and then just compare it to the Rainbow Room. So, anyway, this is what I want to talk about because there's so much information in this show. Like, you don't even know where to start with this. And then, like, the cast photos. Where did they go? Where are you? Okay. The cast photos were. This is in Berlin, right? But we haven't been to Berlin. So where is that spy story, you know? Where's 80s Berlin? I want to see that. And then I did some analyzation of like patches and stuff like that we'll go over. Oh, last thing. This one's really important. In season 4, Owens takes 11 to the desert, right? And what I found out is there's a naval station called Adak, Alaska. And Adak, Alaska was a classic wizard station. And classic wizard, note the lightning bolts, would intercept signals intelligence, electronic intelligence from the USSR or wherever, and then they would process it at Adak or whatever naval facility. And so I couldn't figure out how this related back to the show until someone pointed out the other day that there's been references to elephant ears, but they didn't really know what that was, but I did. It's the elephant cages that the Navy and the Army used to gather signals intelligence. So there's so much. There's so much here. I made a little video about Augsburg. I lived on 3 of those bases. And then I think there's a lot of spy versus spy stuff going on in this show. So we'll kind of analyze that as well. But I hope that this answers more questions. I really think that Will having this Alan Turing poster in season 4, I think he is made off of his base code. Or our characters are at least using Alan Turing's base code to get around, or like whatever is going on here, whatever simulation is going on. So I'm gonna call it there because it's almost 6 in the morning and I would like to go to sleep. And we'll go over some patches and stuff like that next time I come back, and hopefully my lighting's better next time. My cats are punching each other. Okay, goodbye.